This episode is brought to you by Tina's Vodka.
Now you see her.
You are magnificent.
Welcome to Her Table, the podcast that shines a spotlight on the badass women who are redefining the game. Join hosts Kate Foley and Megan Martinez as they unlock the secrets of success from the brightest female pioneers in the industry.
Welcome back. So excited to have everybody here. We are in beautiful Las Vegas at NBA Summer League for year 2 of Her Table.
Crazy, it's already been a year, but we are so excited to welcome in our guest, Zoe Lamb. She works for the Chicago Bulls, and we cannot wait to learn more about her role with the Bulls and how she found success in the sports world.
She has been all around this industry, went to the Pittsburgh Pirates, she was in Phoenix for a bit, and now she is with the Chicago Bulls. She is one of 3 women within the Chicago organization, so I can't wait to dig in.
Yes, let's see it.
All right, pull up a chair. Zoe, you're up. I'm kind of nervous. We're on the big stage today.
Why are you nervous?
I don't know.
Do you want me to break the ice? I actually have something that I've been debating saying. And
oh, please.
Kate, I've known of you for like the last 7 years.
What?
You came and talked to my class when I was a freshman at Grand Canyon University. And
what?
I just never came up and introduced myself because I was very, very shy. So it's just a very full circle moment, like being able to sit across the table from you right now. And you're a name that just always like
so cute.
Comes up in my brain, like it just sits in the back of my brain. And I'm like,
is it good moments or bad moments?
Good moments. I'm all like, how can I be as cool as Kate Foley?
Oh my gosh, you're so cute. Oh, well, that just shows you how old I am.
No,
that
you're
was
not old at all.
I was at Grand Canyon.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, well, we are on our first day set here at Her Table.
Yeah.
Like our first day, Summer League.
We're in
back
Las Vegas.
Action in Las Vegas. It's hot outside, Zoe.
It is hot. Yeah, but it's a dry heat. I always say
Girl, it's
I
like
defend the dry heat.
It's an oven.
But it's not like a sauna. It's a hair blow dryer. It's hot.
Yeah.
I sweat because I'm hot, not because it's humid outside. So.
Yeah, I'd rather take this dry heat over the humidity.
For sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I do want to get like more right with like God though, because if this is any version of hell, I will not survive. So I need to just work on my like more godly things. Yeah. I need to make sure I'm on the way up, not the way down.
Yes, that's so valid.
I'm so excited to have you here on the show today.
I'm so happy to be here on the show.
Thank you for coming in. You're our first guest of the week. So exciting. I know.
I'm excited.
You look fabulous, by the way.
Thank you.
You're like glowing.
Thank you.
Glowing.
Thank you. It's all thanks to Dry Bar. So
what?
Yes.
It's our favorite place.
Yeah, it's my new favorite place. It's my first time going.
You loved it.
We're right across the street from a Dry Bar for where we're staying here in Vegas. So
nice.
I just got a blowout, got my hair curled, and
oh my gosh.
I didn't even have to do it this morning. I feel like $1 million.
You woke up like this, right?
Basically.
And that's what the goal is, right? I think as women in sports, right, oftentimes we're like, okay, we have to like fit in this box and we have to be certain things. And I think sometimes we forget it's okay to be a girl.
Yes.
Like it's okay to take care of yourself and have self-care.
Absolutely.
You're so busy. You have been in all kinds of sports. What's your self-care routine? Like, what is that?
Well, it changes depending on where I'm living. So I've lived in 3 other cities, having to readjust. I think it's probably been about 3 years in each city. Chicago's now where I live. But a lot of it's just really whatever my schedule is like. So obviously it changes in the off season and what it's like in the season. I think the most consistent thing is my Sundays, and it's usually grocery shopping or just walking somewhere and getting a coffee, or even just like vegging on the couch and spending the afternoon watching TV, scrolling through my phone, reading a book sometimes.
Like, shut it off sometimes. Because in sports, it's like, we talk about this all the time. It's 24/7.
Yes.
You have to be accessible. You're in the client-facing role with the Chicago Bulls. What does that day look like for you when you guys are in season?
Yeah, when we're in season, a lot of it's around game days. So I oversee the family room. So every home game, we have a family room for the families to come in. Usually they all have guests, so making sure that their guests are credentialed. Something that I'm learning going from a baseball stadium to an arena is there's so many more entities that go on into putting an event on at the arena rather than at a baseball game. So there's things that you just don't have control over. So that's like security, that's like your vendors and stuff like that. And so a lot of people are trying to get places that they don't want to be. So just making sure that families have those credentials, their guests have those credentials, people are where they need to be. That's the biggest part of my job preparing for the game. And then probably about an hour before tip-off, a lot of it is running around like a mad woman, like talking with security that the families would interact with, talking with our family room attendant that the families interact with every single day. We have babysitters in our family room every single night. So just giving them any updates on any kids that I catch wind of coming, maybe like a promotion or something that, like if Benny the Bull's going to stop by, just giving them an update on what may happen. And then usually when the game hits, that's probably my downtime. And then a lot of it's just building relationships with the families. I think the family room is a really good touch point for me to just catch up with them, because they also all have busy lives, especially being in Chicago. There's just so much to do. So I think I try to use that to my advantage, to ask them how they've been, ask them what they're up to, ask them what they're going to do, and then even lean on them to just kind of drive like the family engagement side of because we're here for them. And so if I'm doing something that maybe not everyone has an interest in, but I thought they would have an interest in, like I want to hear that. And so that's really what I use the family room for, is just to build relationships and then make sure everything runs smoothly so they enjoy their game.
A big part of a franchise is the culture, not only that goes to the athletes on the court, right? But also their family experience. And I think it's such a hidden role because the general public doesn't see that role.
Right.
They don't see how much goes into making sure the families have a great experience.
It is, yeah.
For me, it's like when the families are comfortable, they have a great experience, then the players are able to be like, they can go to their work and do their job. And then their families, their kids, their guests, right, are taken care of. And it's a different dynamic. But it's so important, because if this isn't working over here, then they're going to hear about it when they get home, and then it becomes a bigger problem. A lot of franchises are moving more towards that culture creation. It used to, a long time ago, it was just like, here's a room, have fun, have some popcorn. And now there's a whole family experience that goes into it. How pivotal have you been in the Bulls organization to be able to help drive that from a female perspective? Because we're intuitive, we're very thoughtful, right? We're very communicative. And so I think having a woman in your role is so important, because you think outside the box a lot, probably.
Yes, yeah. It's really challenged me to think outside the box. And I think that's one of my favorite things about this role, is having to get creative on getting more feedback from people, getting people to talk more without either overflowing everyone with all these notifications because I threw them into a group chat, or just, making sure that their time, like understanding that their time is valuable, and making the most out of the time that I have with them when I am able to have a conversation with them. But to your point, Kate, I think it's just one of those backdoor things that you don't see that plays out on the court. So
hold on one second.
Go ahead.
Do we hear that? Or is it just in my brain? No, but I'm saying, like, do we need to...
Is it going to come over on the broadcast?
Good? Okay.
I didn't realize my hair was just hanging out on my shoulder. So
I would jump back into how important it is for you as a female to be in this role.
Yes. Okay. Back. All right.
So I'll ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So how important is it for you as a female in the industry, in a male sport, to make sure that you're being very thoughtful and creative and creating that culture for these players and their families and guests?
Yeah. I think, I don't even remember what I said. Sorry. I'll just dive right into like what I was saying. So I think that it's a cool corner of the sport that we don't see that plays out on the court. And so to your point, to what you were saying, Kate, of just it is kind of funny because it's that like happy wife, happy life. But if you don't have to worry about it, like all you have to worry about is your pregame routine and how well and what you're going to do better on the court and how well you're going to do it this next game that you didn't do the last game and stuff. And so just being able to be that point person and ask, be there when they need to ask any questions, have any troubles with their tickets or their guests coming in, or even if something comes up like they're taking an Uber or they got a car service rather than pulling up in their own car type of thing. Like I think me just being there really helps that and just alleviates a lot of that stuff that you usually go to your significant other for. And so where me coming in as a female also helps is just kind of like bringing that energy. Like I think not only in the family room, but I think also in the office as well. kind of like what I said at the beginning, like I used to just be so shy and just like so afraid of what people would think of me when I put myself out there. But once I just kind of let that go, I have like been having the time of my life. Like I sing Taylor Swift songs in the middle of the day. Like I have a Taylor Swift calendar up on my desk. And then there's even some guys that have come up and told me like, you like Taylor Swift? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I like Taylor Swift. And so it's just like finding those fun things that not a lot of guys would bring up. And so I think being a female, just like bringing that energy and that different type of energy too, is just so fun to see play out.
Yeah. I think what's so cool is like, I'm from the NFL side, and so Kate sees it all the time, but I honestly didn't even know about your role and how important it is, because you think about these players in the NBA and their families are coming to every single game, and how crucial your role is with the organization. That's absolutely amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Now, before this, Kate told me, as we're talking about female in sports, she told me there are only 3 women who work in the Chicago Bulls staff.
Yes.
I didn't believe it. I had to ask you before.
She was
that.
like, no way.
There's no way.
It's insane.
So where do you see the Chicago Bulls growing from here? Where do you think there's like this disconnect where there's only 3 women in the organization?
Yeah, I really think that really just giving a call to action. I think a lot of that stems from just also being a woman in sports. So thinking about kind of going back to a client services perspective, like when I worked at a minor league baseball team on the customer facing side of stuff, like it was, don't forget that this is always someone's first game. And so I feel like I always think about that too when I talk to other aspiring women in sports. Like maybe I'm the first woman that they talk to. Maybe I'm the first female that they've interacted with on behalf of the Chicago Bulls. So just always having that consistent energy, just treating everyone almost the same, but even just being intentional with how you treat everyone. I think that's just a really good representation of the organization. But then also, advocating for women within the organization. So I always ask my boss, like, hey, I found this women's conference. Like, can I go to it? Hey, I want to get the women in basketball flowers for opening day. Like, can I please do this type of thing? And so even though I don't have a big say in what happens in the hiring process, I can still make do with what I have right now.
Well, I think that's what's, even for us, right, at Her Table, it's like if you can see her, you can be her.
Yes.
And I think we wanted to create the platform for women to be able to come on and share their stories and their path, but then also inspire the next you. What challenges have you faced, throughout your career? You've been at the Pittsburgh Pirates, you've been now at the Bulls. Like, have you had moments where you're like, what am I doing? Why am I here? Or have you just been like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be?
Oh yeah, I have it like every other month. But I think I think what like just pulls me back to ground is just remembering how far I've come. And just like what I was saying earlier, it's just like I've been myself this entire time, and that's when I've seen myself be the most successful. Like backing up to when I started getting internships in sports, I was just so shy, like didn't want to say the wrong thing, like really quiet and stuff. And now I'm like, hi, tell me about your life. Like, tell me about your family. Tell me about your dog. Tell me what you're doing this weekend. And then on Monday, like, I'm going to come find you and like, we're going to talk about all those things that we just talked about. And so I think where I struggle, or maybe like the challenges are just breaking down the perceptions that men have of women in sports. And
okay,
so
unpack it. Unpack
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
Unpack
Don't
that.
worry.
What does that
Don't worry.
mean? Unpack
I'm
that.
a
I wanna know.
yapper, so I will unpack everything. I think sometimes, men also just don't know how to interact or how to act when women are around. And like, it's okay. Like, let loose a little bit. Obviously, I don't know, maybe we can like button up the locker room talk a little bit, but it's also like, just because I'm here doesn't mean we need to, again, be quiet. But an example of just noticing some of those perceptions that men have of you. One day, one of our assistant coaches comes in and he's, dabbing up all the guys. And then he gets to me and he's like, oh no, a high five for the ladies. And I was just like, I see what you're doing there, but also it's okay. Like, you can dab me up too. Like, I'm sure you're, 7 feet tall, but it's okay. Like, we don't have to be different because a woman is around, And so I think a way that I've overcome that challenge is just someday I don't want to high five him. I want to dab him up and stuff. And so they get weird. They're like, why is she doing this? Well, it's just like, that's what I want to do, And so I think just showing them that you can be one of the guys, but you can also be yourself. Like, nothing changes because I'm a woman. I think I don't know, my approach that I've had so far, just overcoming those perceptions.
And that's
stuff.
the start too, is like being able to kind of correct somebody. And so going forward, hopefully they don't make that same mistake in the future.
And sometimes they just don't know.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
and sometimes they just don't know. And it's awkward. And I think it's okay to say like, okay, this is awkward for you and for me. So let's make sure this doesn't happen again.
Yes.
But it's the same conversation too of like the guys see the interaction with you and the coaches and you and other staff members. And there has to be that level of professionalism from everybody so that it doesn't become commonplace. It's like, oh, you're just, no, I have a role and I'm a professional and don't degrade me or disrespect me, but at the same time we can be cool too.
And we're all learning. Like I like my advice to anyone looking to break into sports, like, and even just in life, is just to ask questions, because
be curious.
Right? Be curious. Like never stop being curious, never stop asking questions. And I think it really just puts all the words on the table, because sometimes, you know, people just assume what they may think they assume and stuff like that, and it just leads to a lot of miscommunication down the road. So to your point, it's just
I want to talk about a stigma that I think is out there for women in sports. It is and that's why I think when you can see her you can be her, it's great for you, and especially in the role you're interfacing with a lot of wives, a lot of guests, a lot of mothers. Have you ever had that moment where it's been a little icky and you've had to like work through it? Because sometimes they have a really bad experience with another female and you're like the burden of that. It's like everyone's the same. I get that in the agent world.
I'm sure.
How do you break that down? Because they're intimidated. You're probably intimidated, and it's like we're all just awkward here. Because you guys had a lot of off-season moves.
We did.
Summer.
We did.
You guys had a lot of changes.
How
does that affect your relationship with those families and those players as you transition them out to another organization, or you welcome new ones in?
I think a lot of it is just really focusing on my primary people that I serve, and that's the families. So sometimes it's reaching out to the wife and not the player, even if maybe you were close with the player, but even just focusing on the wife and just letting her know that we're friends, like, or maybe even not friends, but like, I'm here for you. Like, I am a girl's girl and stuff like that. Like, don't even worry about the reason how we know each other and stuff. Like, I'm here for you, whatever I can do for you. But then, you know, I care to know you too. Like, I want to genuinely know about you. Like, who cares about him, you know? Like,
that's so important though, because sometimes I feel like a lot of wives and moms or girlfriends feel like no one knows who I am. I'm just there. Right? And or I'm so and so's mom. And it's like, okay, well, you're a person too. And I think giving them that respect and honestly that validation of like, I see you, I hear you, I want to know you, not just because I have to, but because I genuinely care.
I genuinely care, yes. And it's just being intentional with the connections that you're making with people, and not only while you're networking, but even the people that you're around and stuff. Like, my favorite thing to do is talk about everything except work. So it's just like, again, tell me about your day. Tell me about your dog. Tell me about
what
your
are
kids.
You watching?
What are you watching on TV and stuff like that? Exactly.
What are we binging on Saturday while they're on the road?
Exactly. So it's just, finding all these touch points to get to know you as a person rather than steering the conversation to your husband or significant other. So
do you travel with a team?
Every once in a while, I do.
Do you like it?
I do like it. Yeah, it's fun. It's a different experience. It's I also just love to travel, but I also love just appreciating cities, and I think I try to use that as an outlet to get creative with what I can do with the families. So a lot of it is just going on walks and taking my headphones out. I'm a big music listener, podcast listener, like always have to be listening to something. So I've been challenging myself lately to just take my headphones out, like look around, people watch, I don't know, check out a park or something like that, to really just get the juices flowing and what I can do to get creative with our families, get creative with whatever we're about to do, or just however I can be better with my job, but then also with people. So sometimes it's just a good reflecting time for me to find new challenges for myself and do my job better. So
when you're on the road, how are you working with the families to make sure they have a good experience when you're in different arenas? And then do you also meet with other women who have the same role as you at different teams?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's everything under the sun. So it's, if there's families in town, if they need help with anything, making sure that I'm available for them, whether it's post-game passes, tickets, or even just trying to figure out how to get to and from the hotel or something like that. But then it's also connecting with other people in our role, so our counterparts, and just seeing what they're doing. Because kind of like what I said earlier, it's just the cool corner of the job where we all just want to create the best experience for the players, regardless of the team that they're at. But then, we also want to be the team that everyone looks at and be like, well, they did it here. Like, we should try and do something like that. Yeah.
Because when guys move around in the organizations, right? And even like as an agent, you see the different spaces.
Yes.
There are some where you're like, there's a lot of room for improvement here.
Okay.
Then there's some that are like, wow, you guys really get this shit. Like, you get it. You want them to be comfortable. And I think part of that is bringing like new breath and air into spaces and cultures. And I think we're seeing a lot of women have a lot of influence on it. But also it's women raising their hands. Saying like, hey, there's a better way to do this. Or, hey, like, did anyone think this might make someone uncomfortable? But it's so scary to speak up and be like, this is how it's always been.
Yes.
Let's try something new.
Yes.
And I mean, a lot of times it's like, no, it's fine. But then you're like, I'm sitting there and I'm looking and I'm like, there's no, like, there are some organizations that don't have, I probably won't even say this right, but like, they don't have support for the wives with kids. And I know that sounds like first world problems and everyone's going to be like, woe is them. But it is difficult because, these guys play 82 games in a season. And they're in your arena 42 and they're not 2 p.m. games. They're 8 p.m. games a lot of times. So like, in order for their child to experience it, and they might have more than one might not want to be out there. It's really intimidating. Like, my kids get intimidated to go to games. It's loud. It's obnoxious. Fans are insane.
It's chaotic.
And fans are just obnoxious.
Everywhere.
Like, it's insane. So there's some that don't have that. And so when guys come from an organization that does to one that doesn't have support, or a family room that has like babysitting, right? They're like, what am I supposed to do with my kid? They don't know. And then it's the call to action of like, why don't we have this? But I love that you're like going to different arenas, going to different franchises and seeing what they have, because you're like, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I want to take that. And that's a really good idea. And like sharing it. Because I think it'd be really easy to be like, don't let the outside in so that they can't see how great it is. But it's like, no, like, we just got this cool shit. Check it out. Like, you guys get it. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have guys come and go forever through that franchise.
We're going to hear about it eventually.
Like, exactly.
Someone's going to brag about it or talk about it.
Or I'd rather not. The other side is like, somebody's going to be like, this place sucks. We don't have this. We don't want to come here, because some of that is deciding factors in like free agencies and players is how do they navigate the off court? Because the on court is structured, done. This is what they have to do for their job. But there's so much stress that goes into the families. So talk to me a little bit about this offseason. You guys had some changes. Roster moves. Love to see it. You picked up Josh Giddey. You drafted Matas. Fantastic. Huge, like super young. And then you guys got some seasoned vets. How does it work with you with families when guys are traded? Do you still help that family transition, or that's the next team's job in that transition and you're taking on the new guys?
I think it just depends on the family. I would say we got really lucky this year with just really self-sufficient families. So this year I didn't have to help anyone transition out, but it's still that message of just, hey, I'm so sad to see you go. Like, it was so great to meet you and just get to know you. And then, I'm always here if you ever need anything and stuff. And then when it comes to bringing the guys in, it's having as much ready for them that they may have questions for, and we can just be like, hi, I'm Zoe, I'm our family engagement coordinator, like, send me your sizes, send me your address, like, we want to send you stuff. We're in the works of just a lot of transition stuff on the family side for the next season, which I'm really excited to roll out. But the goal this season is to have a resource guide. So, hey, here's our favorite neighborhoods, here's how you can really just adjust to Chicago well, or just get to know Chicago really well.
Get a jacket.
Get a jacket.
Rule number one. Get a jacket.
Have the gear.
You're like, don't worry, I'll just give you one. Because we need to make sure it's good.
Exactly. And so it's just having all these resources available to them. They don't have to use it, but it's something that it shows that we're put together and that we care about their transition. And again, we want to make the transition as easy as possible. And whether it's connecting them with a real estate agent, connecting them them with like a hotel representative if they're maybe visiting for the weekend to go house hunting. And then even just any questions that they may have, like while they're house hunting. Like one of our assistant coaches that we just brought in, I found out that they were in town, and I'm just like, hey, like if you need a midday pick me up, like I really love this coffee shop. If you guys are in this area for dinner, like I really like this dinner spot and stuff. And so really just trying to connect with them right off the bat in any way that I can. And so it's fun because, you know, it's new faces and stuff like that. You hate to see the other ones go, but I love the introduction part because you want to strive for that wow factor of like, wow, I didn't expect they were going to send us all this gear. I didn't expect us to have all this stuff so soon. So it's really fun just being upfront and just being the first person to initiate contact and get them onboarded as quickly as we can.
I think you're going to have a really cool moment in your career coming when someone will come back around.
Yes.
Which is always when I have guys that go back to I'm like, we're going back there. I love it. But then it's also hard because you might not be with the Bulls. It might be in another place because the world, the sports world in the NBA is so small. Yeah. So it's nice when you're like, it's a familiar face and you're like, oh, okay, they got it. We're good. Like even for me, when my guys go, I'm like, oh, they're there. Like Shaquin's there. Perfect. Runs a great ship. We're going. It's good. What is somebody, we always ask this question, you know, a lot of times men lean in and they have, not all of them, but majority of them try to be able to elevate women and create a good experience and let them lean in. Yeah. Has there been somebody in your career throughout, you know, all of your experiences that has really pushed you or leaned in or given you an opportunity to grow?
Yeah. I think it's honestly all of the last 4 bosses that I've had, they've just constantly.
What did you say? Sorry.
28 minutes. All right. Yeah. It's maybe not one person, but I've been really lucky to keep in touch and continue to build relationships with all 3, 4 bosses, maybe even all of the bosses that I've had in the past. And so I think they've just given me that opportunity and that freedom while I was working under them to ask questions, speak up, drive certain initiatives or projects and stuff like that. And I think that's what's really motivated me to continue going and just honestly not think bad of anyone or malicious of anyone going into a new job. Obviously, there's those challenges or you guys butt heads and stuff like that, or you may not see eye to eye here and there, but I think I'm lucky enough to not have thought about that because they've just all been so supportive.
Right. Yeah. I think too, for like us as women in sports, we get it all the time where women are asking us, how did you break into the industry? How did you get this role? Now you started in a minor league with hockey, you went to the MLB, and now you're in the NBA. What advice would you give the younger women who want to break into the industry and have your role one day?
I would say network. I don't think I would have ever gotten all these roles that I've had before if I didn't know someone going into the next role. I don't even think I did apply for this role, but even the last few roles, I don't think I ever went into a role not knowing who I was going to either work for or work with. And, you know, people always ask me like, is it more about who you know or what you know? And I always like to say, who knows you? Because
that's actually really good. I've never heard that.
I'm taking that.
Because I don't think I've ever been like fully qualified for all of my past roles, but I've known the person that's hiring me, and even before I applied or before, you know, the job was even on the table, and maybe I didn't check all the boxes, but they knew I was a hard worker. They knew I'm a culture driver. They knew I'm a problem solver. They knew I'm detail oriented. And I think that's what's really helped me get to these next roles, because I may not know everything, but they know who I am and how to teach me to do what I need to do.
I think you're like showing up authentically, right? I think that's always, you know, the word imposter syndrome, so easy to use.
Yes.
But it's nice when people are like, okay, you would be great at this. Because sometimes people find roles for you that you don't even know you would thrive in.
Yes.
But they're like, wait, I know this person. I know their energy. I know their passion. I know how hard they're going to work. I think you should try it. And it's kind of scary because you're like, okay, cool. But like at the same time, you also have to trust the people that you build relationships with, that you know that they might know better than you sometimes.
Yes.
And so I think all these young women and even young people in this industry are like, I want this job. This is what I want to do. And this, that. And it's like, But really, like, you might not end up where you want to go
No.
if you limit yourself in that box. What advice would you give to young women, especially trying to get into a male-dominated industry, right? How, like, for me, I'm like, be prepared. Show up accordingly,
Yes.
right? Like, dress for the job you want, not
Yes.
the job you have.
Yes, I love that saying.
Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
sometimes I think people forget, like, we went through COVID, we went through all these things where all this stuff is acceptable, and then you're like,
Yeah.
we can't, not working. But it's hard to say that to someone because they'll get offended. But you do have to be like, let's try this instead.
Yes. Yeah.
What advice would you give to young women that see you and are like, I love her role. This is what I think I might want to do. How does the next you get into this role?
I don't even know. Advocate for yourself. I think that's really how I got into the family stuff. Kind of backing up to when I was in baseball, I was doing business of baseball stuff, and then I really, really wanted to do the family stuff. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but the lady that, who I still keep in touch with, if I could talk to her every single week, I would, but she's so busy.
You should. Just send her a text.
Yeah.
Like, just saying hi, like the waving emoji.
Oh, yes.
Just so
yeah.
you can feel
yeah.
good.
She and I even keep up on all the tea that's going on. I find out stuff on social media because she's not on social media, and I'll be like, this just happened. And she's like, thank you for telling me. And so, but I would lean on her, you know, as I was doing the business of baseball stuff. And I was just like, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you?
It's that curiosity,
Yes,
girl.
yes.
Of like, what
And
else
then
can I do?
Eventually, it started to work its way into my job responsibility. So it was then my responsibility was to help her. And then after doing that for a year, it was taking over certain things, or even knowing what I could have done better the previous season and doing it better the next season. And then I was also advocating for myself to have all the responsibility fall on me at the Pirates for the family stuff. And that's how I kind of got into this next role, because I wasn't even looking. I was on LinkedIn, like, I think I was doing some sort of family thing, and then I saw Shaquin posted the role, and I was like, well, of course I'm going to look at it, because, you know, I want this stuff to be on my plate here at the Pirates, and what are they looking for in the family engagement coordinator that I could maybe, you know, plant the seed over here and tell them, hey, this is what they're looking for here. Like, I could do that stuff here. I could do that stuff here. And then
she just heard our conversation we had yesterday.
I know.
I literally just said all of this to Megan yesterday about an opportunity for her that was like, I'm not sure which one I want to do. And I was like, well, take the one where you have the most comfortability.
Yes.
But one where you have the most opportunity to engage and contribute. Right? Because it might be a lower job.
Yes.
But you have room to grow and take on more responsibility.
Yes.
If you go in straight at the top, it's like, here's your box, don't step backwards.
Yes.
And so sometimes it's intimidating to take the smaller role and build something.
Yes.
But I'm a big proponent of like, build it.
Yes.
Like, if it's not there, build it. And if it's there, rebuild it.
Yes.
Because there might be a better way for you to do it. Because what has been done isn't what needs to be done sometimes.
Exactly. And sports is just always changing.
It's
And
evolving.
So it's always evolving.
evolving.
And so it's just, how can we continue to be in that mindset to continue evolve with it and make things better?
I love it.
And kind of back to your question, I know we kind of got sidetracked, but it's that curiosity, and it's that always being willing to help. And then I think just no matter what, be yourself as you're striving to do all that stuff. When I was leaving the Pirates, I would make the time to tell everyone in person, you know, that I was leaving. And one of them, it always sticks in my mind. He started getting teary-eyed, and he was just like, Zoe, like, no matter what, just always be yourself. Like, don't stop being yourself. And so I think, you know, just breaking into the male-dominated industry is like, don't change anything about yourself. Like, continue to be yourself, you know, challenge yourself, but set goals, and don't change anything about yourself.
No, I agree.
I'm sorry, production's making like jackhammer moves as we listen to this jackhammer behind us. That's what happens when you're live at Summer League. You never know what's going to pop behind you on this set. It's amazing. I love it. Okay, so I want to talk about something fun. I want to talk about sport. We talk about sports.
Yes.
What for you, like for me, fashion is always evolving.
Yes.
And it is one of the things I'm a big proponent of. If you look good, you feel good, you play good, you pay good, right? And feeling, you talked about being like authentic and comfortable about yourself. What does a fit for success look like for you?
It depends on the day, but I mean, I just dress however I really want to dress, if that makes sense. Obviously, within reason, going into the office and going like dressing for your workday essentially, but on game days, like I'm like, it is a fashion show. Like I love dressing up, you know, like I love wearing my trouser pants and my skirts and my high heels and my boots and my blouses and my blazers. Like I just love dressing up. But then I also love that I have the opportunity to dress down. So sometimes it's joggers and a t-shirt, or sometimes it's a sweatshirt, because even though it's like 90 degrees outside in Chicago, it's still like 65 degrees in the office and stuff. Yeah. So I think just dressing for the occasion, like I would rather be overdressed than underdressed. I
say that all the time. So, I would rather people be like, wow, than like, ew.
Yes,
like, you know what I mean? Those are the two things you're going to get. Okay, well, I'm excited because we're going to send her to one of our favorite places. So one of our new partners, Good American, is going to have you come in and pick out a fit for success. So we're going to send you there today after the show.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
And you're going to go over and check it out and get fit for success.
Thank you. Yes. I'm so excited.
So then the next phase of this is you get to wear it. And it's like we're on the
I'm never
going to
take it off.
I don't. I constantly live in it. So it's fine.
It's so comfy. We love
it's so
we
comfy.
Love
but it's a great message too. And I think that's one of the things for me about a brand that you wear the same clothes, and the messaging behind it is inclusivity, it's positivity, but it's also just fun and young.
Yes.
And you can wear it however you want. So we're so excited to send you over there.
Yay,
it's gonna be fun. Before we wrap up here, we are going to do a really fun thing we do with production. And these Tina's questions, they put them in there. We don't always know what's in there. Sometimes we're like, oop. So we're all going to go around for Tina's Vodka, one of our other partners. We're going to send you home with some Tina's Vodka today too. We're just
I'm so excited. I'm just getting spoiled here.
I know. The swag bag
I want to be on Her Table
is,
podcast every day.
So do we. They don't let us. They say I have to go home. We want to just live here too. But we're going to do this. So we'll let you go first. So you get first pick of these questions. And I don't know what's in there, but you can answer
it. It's all right. We're women in sports. We think on the fly. You know?
Right? True. Until you're like, I don't know how to answer that one. That's what I get sometimes.
Oh, I like this one. What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Oh.
Am I supposed to answer?
Yes.
You. Oh, okay. I'm supposed to answer it. The most adventurous thing I've ever done. I can't even think of anything. I think my time in Phoenix was like the most adventurous time in my life, because there were just mountains everywhere. So we would just hike and hike, and then we'd go run in the lake and stuff like that.
I feel like you're an adventurous person, Little Miss. I'm going to take my AirPods out and go walk around a city.
I know, right?
Like, meet people. I'm like, stay away from me. I don't know you.
Oh, actually, I do know. So there's this, Megan, you might have to help me. There's Wenatchee, I think.
Yeah.
And what's the German town in Washington?
It's Leavenworth.
Yeah. Okay, there is a really, really cool hike. It's like 4.5 miles up, 4.5 miles down. But at the top of the mountain, there's like this beautiful lake. I cannot remember it right now, but
I know what you're talking about though.
But during COVID, I think it was my final move. This was like, I was moving back down to Arizona to do my master's. It was in the middle of COVID. I was like, I don't know when the next time I'm coming back home to Washington is. So I'm going to wake up, do this hike, and I'm not going to put any music in my ears. And so I woke up at 4 a.m., drove to Leavenworth, left my AirPods in the car, and I hiked 4.5 miles up, like sat there for like an hour, and then I walked 4.5 miles down.
I
think that was the most adventurous
I love that
thing
for you.
I've ever done.
I won't be doing that with you, but I love that for you. So next time you do it, think of me.
I will,
me a selfie.
absolutely.
We have had so much fun having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Keep being amazing. Keep doing awesome things. I can't wait to see. We might be the next woman over at the Chicago Bulls. So.
Yeah.
And you're actually going to be seeing me a lot.
Please.
I'll have to tell you things that you don't know yet.
Oh
that
my
aren't
gosh,
released.
I'm so excited.
But yeah, you're going to be seeing me a lot in Chicago with one of your new additions.
Oh my gosh, we'll have to go to
I'll
all
be
the
in
fun
Chicago
restaurants.
too in December for NFL. So
There
I'll
you
have
go.
to link up with you.
Please come. Yes,
I
The world
will.
gets smaller.
Yeah, it does
I
get
love
small.
it. Well, thank you so much for coming on Her Table. We love having it.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Of
You guys are the
course.
best.
I loved having Zoe on the show today for our first guest in Las Vegas.
I know. She brought the energy today.
Yeah, she
I
did.
needed it.
Yeah.
It's early in the morning. They're still setting up. We're on the beautiful new desk, by the way. I love this. We got everybody represented here appropriately. I loved having her on. Her energy kind of changed the tone, brought my energy up.
Yeah.
I can see why she has such an important role within player engagement at the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
She has to have that energy to be able to build relationships with the families.
Yeah.
And the players, and build that confidence and connection with them. That's not always easy to do.
And it's so incredible because I know I mentioned in the show, but it's such a pivotal role to have in an organization because every player has a family, has parents, has kids. So for her to just take on that role and do such a great job, that was so incredible just to hear her journey and, you know, how she got to where she is today.
Yeah, it's phenomenal to think about an organization as old as the Chicago Bulls that welcomed her in with open arms. I know she has an amazing mentor and boss over there in Shaquin, but it's so important, and people don't realize the culture on the court is often impacted by the culture off the court, and she's the one driving that for the Chicago Bulls. And I love seeing just her tenacity, her ability to change, grow, develop. And she said all the time, raise your hand, be curious. She gave such great advice, and it's one of those. She's going to go far in this league.
For sure, without a doubt.
This is not the last stop for her. I can promise you that, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm so glad she came on. This is what I needed for day one today here in Las Vegas.
She really did bring the energy. She got us up to a hot start. No pun intended in Las Vegas.
It is hot here. That's it for us here at Her Table. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We want to thank our amazing sponsors. Good American, Tina's Vodka, Dry Bar, and We Are the Wild Collective. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow along, and we'll see you guys soon.